and we usher in the first few days of the new year. With hope, we look at 2021. And Mark Bellatini reminds us that the lights are coming. I know it. In the dark silence of coming night, they are coming, those constellations by which the wise may safely steer. And yes, those wise men did safely steer themselves to the newborn King, the little baby Jesus. And such began the idea of Epiphany. And so today we will look at epiphanies both great and small. The small epiphanies that sometimes are great and vice versa. May your first week of the new year give you a fresh look and a perspective on your own life.
Let me possess myself, be calm in mind and quiet in my heart. Let me take time to watch the candle's light and know it is the same vast silence of the silver stars. Let me be of time dispossessed, stand at the birth and humbly say the name. Let me in quiet by the candle's sight be akin to the stars and lost in time. Be a disciple of truth's eternal light. A reading by Patrick T.A. O'Neill. Here's to Epiphanies great and small, whenever they occur. A blessing on all wise men and women, east and west. Here's to the stargazers and pilgrims everywhere, who are still foolish enough and brave enough to follow their stars, who travel by night, who bestow their uncommon gifts on us all.
A Manifesto of Encouragement by Danielle Laporte. Right now. There are Tibetan monks in a temple in the Himalayas endlessly reciting mantras for the cessation of your suffering and for the flourishing of your happiness. Someone you haven't met yet is already dreaming of adoring you. Someone is writing a book that you will read in the next 2 years that will change how you look at life. Nuns in the Alps are in endless vigil, praying for the Holy Spirit to alight the hearts of all of God's children. A farmer is looking at his organic crops and whispering, "Nourish them." Someone wants to kiss you, to hold you, to make tea for you. Someone is willing to lend you money, wants to know what your favorite food is and treat you to a movie. Someone in your orbit has something immensely valuable to give you for free. Something is being invented this year that will change how your generation lives, communicates, heals, and passes on. The next great song is being rehearsed. Thousands of people are doing yoga right now, intentionally sending light out from their heart chakras and wrapping it around the earth. Millions of children are assuming that everything is amazing and will always be that way. Someone is in profound pain, and a few months from now, they'll be thriving like never before. They just can't see it from where they're at. Someone who is craving to be partnered, to be acknowledged, to arrive, will get precisely what they want, and even more. And because that gift will be so fantastical in its reaches and sweetness, it will quite magically alter their memory of angsty longing and render it all so worth the wait. Someone has recently cracked open their joyous, genuine nature because they did the hard work of hauling years of oppression off of their psyche. This luminous juju is floating in the ether and is accessible to everyone. Someone, just this second, wished for world peace in earnest. Someone is fighting the fight so that you don't have to. Some civil servant is making sure that you get your mail and your garbage is picked up, that the trains are running on time, and that you are generally safe. Someone is dedicating their days to protecting your civil liberties and clean drinking water. Someone is regaining their sanity. Someone is coming back from the dead. Someone is genuinely forgiving the seemingly unforgivable. Someone is curing the incurable. You, me, someone, now.
Epiphany is a Christian festival held on January 6th, and it commemorates the manifestation of Christ to the Gentiles in the persons of the Magi. An appearance or manifestation, especially of a deity, is also another definition for epiphany. It could be described as the doctrine that consciousness is merely a physiological process of miraculous events, both big and small. Although the derivation of the work of the Epiphany is grounded in the Christian story of the Christ figure appearing to the three wise men, today we use the word more broadly. An epiphany can be described as an aha moment, but an aha moment that changes your life substantially. So for most of us, an epiphany would be an experience that causes us to change the direction of our future or possibly find our car keys. So as Unitarian Universalists who claim science as a source that informs our faith and belief system, as much as overt teachings both of Jewish, Christian, humanist, and earth-centered backgrounds, we look at the direct experience of transcending mystery and wonder. So it is that direct experience of transcendent mystery and wonder that is affirmed in all cultures, which moves us to a renewal of the spirit and an openness to the forces which create and uphold life. And it provides us a basis for celebrating and applying scientific discoveries and personal epiphanies. Today, the Feast of the Epiphany from the Christian tradition is a starting point for our own spiritual discipline. That revelation of God to humankind came to some in the person of Jesus. The observance includes the birth of a baby, the visits of three wise men, or magi, Gaspar, Melchior, and Balthasar, as they arrived in Bethlehem, and all Jesus' childhood events, up to and including his baptism in the Jordan by John the Baptist, began there. The date was fixed as January 6th in 321, and that was on a list of Christian festivals. All Christian denominations, from the Eastern Orthodox of Ethiopia to Spain, Argentina, Uruguay, Mexico, which is called Day of the Kings, to the Western Church, Christmastide, 12 Days of Christmas, and then the Irish calling this the Little Christmas. Celebrate this recognition, this grand realization, this epiphany that Jesus is recognized as the light of the world in shining forth. The gift of his human form is recognized in this great illumination or manifestation for all humankind. The Greeks would call it the mini trench or a miraculous phenomena. And so it was a revelation that changed the world. And so what does that mean for us here today as Unitarian Universalists? We are fortunate not only to have permission, but encouragement to practice what they say about diversity and openness of our own experience and the mystic heart. We can refer to our religious practice as interspiritual age, or what Thomas Berry refers to himself as a geologian or a theologian for the earth. So we can use the Christian calendar as this starting point and a personal day of reflection. Unitarian Universalists are willing to weave together many traditions without guilt or qualm. We then can look at the powerful symbolism of that visit from the Magi to this infant prophet and bring in the references to the Epiphany from philosophers and writers to apply to some of our experiences. We do not have to allow ourselves to get stuck in accepting only one interpretation of Epiphany. We can be open with a bigger umbrella of this concept to include so much more, to include your own experience, and apply this idea to opening up your hearts and minds is expanding the fullness of our human potential. There is, it seems to me, a meeting of the symbolic and rational when we look at the Magi's visit to the baby Jesus. Here you have an epiphany of worldwide proportions as the acknowledgement of men of high position from Parthia, near the site of ancient Babylon, traveled in other unknown lands. They came such distances, and they might have even taken 1 or 2 years to present the gifts to the King of the Jews. The gifts were symbolic as well. Gold as a gift for a king, incense as a gift for a deity, and myrrh, a spice for someone who was going to eventually die in spirit. What a great responsibility was given to Mary and Joseph to raise this child who was already respected both near and far. When we expand the great teachings of the Christian tradition, the responsibility is upon all Christians as people who still have expectations from all of those around the world to live up to the illumination as taught from the life lessons of Jesus, including us as Unitarian Universalists who focus on those life teachings of Jesus, who we sometimes refer to as one of the first social justice leaders. Each of you have beliefs here. You believe in epiphanies, great and small. James Joyce used this idea of epiphany in his novel, Portrait of the Artist of a Young Man, and The Dubliners, written in 1916. His characters went through experiences of having a change of heart or a reversal of thinking and have reviewed their own social conditions and themselves by looking at what they were doing differently. Or maybe some of you can relate to a eureka epiphany, such as the realization of how to estimate the volume of a given mass, as Epiphanies supposedly shouted, "Eureka, I have found the answer." So here you have an invitation of being part of an epiphany brought through scientific experimentation, technological improvement, and yes, the year that we're leaving behind that has taught us so much. So yay for epiphany, sudden realizations or comprehension of the essence of a meaning of something that has occurred. Have you thought of a time that you have had an epiphany in your life? I will share one of the epiphanies that I had. When I was in my early 20s, my views did not match those of all my friends and peers. I had grown weary at an early stage of the party phase of life. How late, how long, how much could be ingested, and how many foolish stories could be created out of our foolish actions. A couple of young people in our circle of friends either died while driving drunk or had affairs or contracted diseases or flew out of our own universe in some profound way. As a young mother then of 2 children, I knew that there was more to life than just foolish destruction. I was attending college and the sociology professor was describing religions in America, and there at the very end of the board was just enough room for Unitarian Universalist. I could not believe that there was a group of people practicing a legitimate religion that encouraged questioning and rational thought. There was hope still that I wasn't an alien because I had been rejected by my family and friends by what I thought were beliefs that no one else shared. There was hope that some people would not give me the strange looks showing their disapproval, but would give me more incentive and give me a context to ask questions and to study further and to look into religion and salvation and discussion of values. I had been in what the Greeks referred to as this mini trench. I was awaiting a miraculous phenomena. And so my epiphany was to look up the nearest Unitarian Universalist church, and that was in Grosse Pointe at the time, and give my children, 6 and 2, something that I had known, not had experienced. A guilt-free, full-thinking, questioning religion celebrated all that I believed at the time and also encouraged change. The human potential movement was being fully engaged at that time. I wanted to live a life on purpose with truth and justice. I wanted to apply my beliefs and principles to my relationships, ways I spent time, eating habits, and the future. That's when I became a vegetarian as well. Of course, I joined the Unitarian Universalist Church, and the rest is my personal history, I suppose. Now back to your epiphanies. I know that you've had more than one time when you have found that last piece of the puzzle in your life, and then you could see the whole picture, or your frame of reference changed. Was it the birth of a child or a grandchild, a relationship beginning or ending, the radical change in careers, the letting go of toxicity, an action, word, or relationship? Did it occur at a mountaintop or at the ocean side? Did it occur in a cathedral? Did it occur in your own household or a garden? Or during a sermon, possibly? At a bedside of a loved one? Or during a post-operative recovery? When my granddaughter turned 5, she received her first Game Boy computer, an epiphany for me. She was being raised in a different time and space, and now here she is, 15 years later, editing our services for us. Judgments would not serve her well at the time to criticize the technology that was part of her life. That choice of toy moved on and evolved as an epiphany of change in our culture. The epiphany was that she still needed the people around her, and the Game Boy will be lost or run out of batteries, but we will never run out of love when we move to acceptance and non-judgment of one another. So how can you be open to epiphanies? We are starting a brand new year, 2021. We have learned so much. We have become so creative. Of course, my opinion is to share what you found about in Unitarian Universalist religion with everyone you meet, and for you to share what you've discovered in epiphanies with us in the upcoming months. There are going to be many vignettes and many stories that will be woven into services in January, February, April, and March. And they will be those aha epiphany stories, that the aha epiphany you might have had in nature or relationships or music. And so I invite you to think about your epiphany and then contact Liz Knight, and she will make sure that the recording of your epiphany can be woven into a future service as we move from winter into spring. It doesn't have to be Greek to you, these epiphanies. It's available to you if you allow it to be. Illumination, manifestation, declaration. Your epiphany can be celebrated today, and you may feast in its greatness. So as we call on the spirit of transient joy, spirit of utter delight, our hearts have been anguished and bruised, but now may we embrace glorious moments as if they were forever, delighting in changing us along the way. Brother, sister, take your time, go slowly. Listen deep inside yourself. Simple things are holy. Brother, sister, take your time, go slowly. Listen deep inside yourself. Simple things are holy.